The Green New Deal resolution calls for a transition to net zero greenhouse gas emissions by 2050. It creates millions of good high-wage jobs, builds a sustainable and resilient world, and promotes social justice. How are we going to do that? By investing in infrastructure. And there's the rub that pits planet versus profit. I grew up in western Pennsylvania's coal region. My neighbors wheezed with black lung. Factories poured waste into streams. In the steel towns of Pittsburgh and Johnstown, air pollution was accepted as the smell of prosperity. Profit over planet ruled our economic system then. I celebrated the first Earth Day at a college just north of Pittsburgh. Silent Spring and the Population Bomb were elective readings for Biology 101. The year before, headlines reported a massive oil spill in Santa Barbara and water burning on Ohio's Cuyahoga River. A year later, the nation adopted Clean Air and Clean Water Acts to protect our environment. We chose planet over profit. The oil crisis of 1973 became a call for energy efficiency. Our desire to become energy independent spawned a commitment to build 100 clean burning coal plants and 100 non-polluting nuclear plants. The Department of Energy began developing a technology called hydraulic fracturing. At the time, the effects of carbon pollution were a debatable theory. Are we cooling or are we warming? In 1979, Ronald Reagan convened the Academy of Sciences to settle the debate. The resulting Charney report concluded that substantial warming was already on the way, but we're unsure of how oceans play a role. In 1988, Dr. Hansen testified, global warming has begun. 4 years later, the world agreed as the UN called for international cooperation to combat climate change, planet over profit. Fossil fuel interests viewed the action as a threat to their business model. The disinformation campaign began, profit over planet. This map of New Jersey depicts point sources of carbon pollution as of 2013. The B.L. England coal plant near Cape May and the Mercer generating coal plant near Trenton are closed. We can shut down polluting fossil fuel plants. In 2013, the New Jersey Energy Master Plan's renewable energy goal was 22.5% of all electricity generation by 2020. Although the state was a leader in solar installations through the decade, we also added 5 natural gas power stations. Government policy is a key driver in achieving carbon reductions. We need to do better. Today, we understand the science and recognize the true cost of carbon. The World Economic Forum now recognizes that climate change is the #1 threat to the global economy. The American Society of Engineers evaluated New Jersey's ports, highways, rail lines, power grid, and all other aspects of infrastructure. The D score means everything needs to be rebuilt. We are going to spend trillions of dollars on infrastructure products. The choice is to rebuild, to restore it as is condition, or we can build better. Noxious oxides in emissions are products of burning fossil fuels. The impact of COVID shows how quickly the air is cleansed if transportation sector was electrified. The remaining pollution is attributed to homes, natural gas generating plants, and compressors. The factories' heat processes. We still need to keep weaning off fossil fuels, not only for the climate, but also for our health. Before I continue, you need to understand the concept of cost parity. Cost parity frequently refers to the goal of matching prices with the market leader. We need to spend money to rebuild, and we have a choice to build better. The next set of slides brings good news. Clean energy technologies are or will soon be at cost parity with fossil fuel alternatives. We no longer have to choose between planet and profit. You can now pick both. Let's start with generating electricity. In 2013, electricity from solar and wind was cheaper than electricity from fossil fuels in 1% of the world. In 2018, it was cheaper in 2/3 of the world. In 2024, it will be cheaper in 100% of the world. Government policy is needed to accelerate the deployment of renewables. In the meantime, you and your family can just switch. There are lots of ways that you can buy clean energy for your home or business. I purchased solar and wind energy from the Clean Choice Energy delivered by JCP&L. My daughter belongs to New Jersey's first community solar project, which produced its first kilowatt in November 2019. I paid for the panels and received tax benefits and solar renewable energy credits, which are sold to the power companies. My daughter gets the credit on her electric bill for power sold to the grid. New Jersey BPU approved 45 community solar projects, including a 1.3 megawatt project at the landfill in Edison in December 2009. Community solar is coming to you. Edison is now considering a community energy aggregation program. This will be another way your family can switch to clean energy. Let's talk transportation. In 2017, I traded my Toyota Corolla for a Prius Prime plug-in hybrid. My Corolla was getting 30 miles per gallon at the time. I was ecstatic when my first fill up on my Prius Prime showed 54 miles per gallon. The battery charges when you cruise, hit the brakes, use the engine, and of course when you plug it in. I learned to maximize my battery usage and to keep my battery fully charged. I eventually brought my 2017 model to 84 miles per gallon before I traded it for a 2020 Prius Prime in February. I drove the car almost 6 months without a fill-up. My current tank has about 5,000 miles at 123 miles per gallon. There are several great benefits to electric vehicles over conventional internal combustion engine cars. EVs are cheaper to maintain, better for the environment, health, safety, and energy security. EV prices are expected to reach cost parity in the next 2 years. 20 years ago, you could only buy a hybrid Prius. Now, there's a wide selection of auto manufacturers that make electric vehicles. The market is reacting to profit signals driven by government policy and consumer preference. It is a matter for you to switch engines. Many companies are committing to 100% renewables or net zero goals by 2050. Companies are looking more to electric trucks and accessibility to mass transit to improve their competitiveness. Amazon's climate pledge for net zero is predicated on the purchase of electric trucks and green hydrogen fuel cell-powered facilities. Green hydrogen is hydrogen produced by electrolysis using solar or wind. It becomes an excellent energy storage approach, especially for New Jersey offshore wind when peak production occurs during off-demand periods. It is time for electric buses, especially quiet electric school buses. How many times do you smell the exhaust when your bus door swings open? Studies find that air pollution affects youth more severely because of your active metabolism. It also impairs your learning ability. Clean transportation has substantial benefits for you. Let's now turn to heat processes for industry and home. New Jersey has over 900 combined heat power facilities, often in low-income communities. Pizza ovens, metal shops, and chemical plants rely on fossil fuel heat processes. The American Council for the Energy Efficient Economy recently released a report describing the technology available to electrify these processes. Many of these processes are not only more efficient, but sometimes produce a higher quality product. Here's a steel mill in Sweden. It has been operating for hundreds of years, but they have been one of the first to replace coal by switching to green hydrogen. Electrification in home and commercial heating rely on resistant heat processes. However, electric heat pumps have reached cost parity with natural gas. With the inclusion of backup power storage, you do not have to be overly concerned with power outages or gas line disruptions. In 2017, Raritan Valley Community College became the first two-year school in the U.S. to reach carbon neutrality, or net zero emissions. I mention this to make the point that our objectives are technologically achievable. Moving to the clean energy economy is creating innovation and business opportunities that do not exist in the age of fossil fuels. The Green New Deal aspiration is to build a sustainable and equitable world. The first Earth Day called for sacrifice to build a better world, choosing planet over profit. The Green New Deal calls for investment in infrastructure, not sacrifice. I only touched on the technologies that are presently available in the near term. Your generation will continue applying innovation and business ingenuity to develop the higher quality products and drive costs down. Clean energy has already reached cost parity. The choice is no longer profit over planet, nor planet over profit. The choice is planet and profit. And why is that important? Every creation story begins with a thriving world in balance with nature. It produces good health and general happiness. We only have one planet. Bringing back our balance is essential. And thank you for the presentation.